Welcome to the Welcome to the Southeastern North Carolina radio reading service, a United Way partner agency. We are located at the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. Today is the 16th of November, 2017. The time now is 10 o'clock in the morning. It's Thursday morning, and your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy,
and we will be reading the news for today's edition of the Fayetteville Observer.
And we're going to begin today with your weather. Today we have a beautiful day, a high of 68 degrees, a low of 37, beautifully sunny, pleasant, and warmer. Moving to tomorrow, a high of 61, low of 38, mostly sunny. Saturday, high of 69, a low of 51, some sun, breezy in the afternoon. And Sunday, a high of 59, a low of 32, few clouds, mostly sunny, breezy and cooler. And Monday, it's still 32 as a low and a high of 54, sunny and cool. Let's see what Chick has to say today. Chick Jacobs is our weather friend. Flirting with 70. Enjoyed his brief burst of warm weather across the Cape Fear region because it won't last long. Sunny skies and light winds should allow Fayetteville to nudge toward a high of 70 today before cooler conditions return this weekend. Now you can follow Chick Jacobs online at Fayo-Weather on Twitter.
Today in history. Today is Thursday, the 16th of November, 2017. It is the 320th day of 2017, and there are only 45 days left in this year. Where did it all go to?
I don't know.
Today's highlight: on the 16th of November in 1907, Oklahoma became the 46th state of the Union, which that's exactly my home state. Bravo, Oklahoma. And on today's date in history, in 1776, British troops captured Fort Washington in New York during the American Revolution. On today's date in history, in 1885, Canadian rebel leader Louis Riel was executed for high treason. On today's date in history, in 1917, George Clemenceau again became the Prime Minister of France. And on today's date in history, in 1933, the United States and the Soviet Union established diplomatic relations. On today's date in history, in 1939, mob boss Al Capone, ill with syphilis, was released from prison after serving only 7.5 years for tax evasion and failure to file tax returns. On today's date in history, in 1945, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, called UNESCO, was founded at the conclusion of a conference in London. On today's date in history, in 1959, the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Sound of Music opened on Broadway. On today's date in history, in 1966, Dr. Samuel H. Shepard was acquitted in Cleveland at his second trial of murdering his pregnant wife, Maryland, in 1954. On today's date in history, in 1973, Skylab 4, carrying a crew of 3 astronauts, was launched from Cape Canaveral on an 84-day mission in outer space. And finally, on today's date in 1982, an agreement was announced in the 57th day of a strike by National Football League players. So striking in the NFL is nothing news. And today's birthdays, we have actor Clu Gulager. Clu is 89 years old today. Blues musician W.C. Clark is 78. Actress Joanna Pettit is 75. Actor Steve Railsback is 72. Actor David Leisure is 67. Actor Miguel Sandoval is 66. Actress Marge Helgenberger is 59. Rock musician Manny is 55. Country singer-musician Keith Burns of Trick Pony is 54. Jazz singer Diana Krall is 53. Actor Harry Lennox is 53. Rock musician Dave Kushner of the Velvet Revolver is 51. Actress Lisa Bonet is 50. Actress Tammy Lauren is 49. Rhythm and blues singer Brian Abrams of Color Me Bad is 48. Actress Martha Plimpton is 47. Actor Michael Irby is 45. Actress Missy Pyle is 45. Rock musician Corey McCormick of Lucas, Nelson, and Promise of the Real is 41. Olympic gold medal figure skater Oksana Baiwo is 40. Actress Maggie Gyllenhaal is 40. Pop singer Trevor Pinnock is 38. And following it all up and ending it all is actress Kimberly J. Brown, and she is 33 years old today.
Okay, are you excited? Here we go for the Daybreak Need to Know. Number 1, the Homeless and Hunger Stand Down. The United Way of Cumberland County is having its annual community Homeless and Hunger Stand Down on Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the VFW Post 6018, 116 Chant Street. It is a one-stop location for services for homeless veterans, individuals, and families, or those who are at risk of being homeless. Participants, if you go, you can receive a free lunch, a haircut, flu shots, and information on various issues. To volunteer, make a donation, or find out more by calling 483-1179. That's the Homeless and Hunger Stand Down. And church security, the Harnett County Sheriff's Office will hold a church security presentation November 21st at 6:30 p.m. in the Harnett County Governmental Complex Common Area, 305 West Cornelius Harnett Boulevard. Pastors and church representatives are invited. The presentation will be conducted by members of the Sheriff's Office, Special Response Team, and other personnel. It will include identifying vulnerabilities using a security risk assessment, adopting a security plan, and answering questions about firearms on church property. Number 3, Run for Diabetes. The Better Health of Cumberland County is having its 5th annual Red Apple Run for Diabetes on Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Participants can choose from 3 races. There's a 10K, a 5K, or a 1-mile fun run starting at the Medical Arts Center on Robeson Street. For more information, call 483-7534 or go to betterhealthc.org. We have a holiday festival, number 4. The Robeson County Farmers Market is having a very local holiday festival on this Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 8th and Elm Streets in Lumberton. There will be healthy food samples highlighting local produce, nutrition, education, and local arts and crafts vendors. For more information about the holiday festival, call 910-671-3276. Now, listeners, we want to hear from you. So please submit your events in writing at least 10 days in advance. Or you can email your calendar at thefayobserver.com or fax your details to 486-3545. If you have any questions, you may call 486-3500.
And your public safety today in Cumberland County, these were the arrests. Gary Tremaine Jones, age 34, of the 300 block of Bandera Drive, was charged Tuesday with possession of cocaine and possession with the intent to manufacture a controlled substance. Gary Tremaine Jones's bail was set at $21,000. Rodney Lynn Strother, age 51, of the 600 block of Monaghan Street, was charged Wednesday with breaking and entering, larceny after breaking and entering, and larceny. Rodney Lynn Strother's bail was set at $20,000. Sean Trammell Madow, age 25, of the 2200 block of Carbine Street, was charged Wednesday with robbery with a dangerous weapon and conspiracy robbery with a dangerous weapon. Sean Trammell Madow's bail was set at $75,000. Andrew Francisco Dahl, age 26, of the 900 block of Tyndall Grove Road, Clinton, was charged Wednesday with common law robbery. Andrew Francisco Dahl's bail was set at $10,000. Brandon Alexander Searmans, age 25, of the 500 block of Spalding Street, was charged Wednesday with breaking and entering, larceny after breaking and entering, and possession of stolen goods. Brandon Alexander Searmans' bail was set at $50,000. Robert Bratcher Jr., age 23, of the 6500 block of Terryton Road, was charged Wednesday with common law robbery. Robert Bratcher Jr., his bail was set at $10,000. And with our break-ins on Troy Drive on the 1700 block, it was reported Tuesday at 2:03 a.m. that over $200 worth of tobacco products were reported taken from a Dollar General store. A lot of smokers out there. Dornach Drive on the 3600 block, it was reported Tuesday at 3 p.m. that electronics, prescription drugs, food, and alcohol were reported taken. And on Desmond Street on the 400 block, reported Tuesday at 5:27 p.m. that a handgun and gaming equipment was reported taken. And on Tart Circle on the 700 block, reported on Tuesday at 12:55 p.m. that jewelry, a laptop, and other items were reported taken or stolen. And the thefts on Tryon Drive on the 1900 block, it was reported Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. that a handgun and tobacco products were reported taken. On Eleanor Avenue on the 200 block, it was reported Wednesday that rifles, crossbow, a game system, a television, and jewelry were reported taken. On the Cape Center Drive on the 3600 block, it was reported Tuesday at 5:22 p.m. that cash, that debit cards, and other items were reported taken from a medical office. And finally, on Kirk Colby Court on the 400 block, reported on Tuesday at 8:35 p.m. that $300 worth of property was reported taken. And that wraps up our public safety crime report for today.
Now, Clark, have you ever thought about who the pilot might be that transports our President of the United States of America?
Who he might be? Well, I'm sure they switch out after every president. But who is this guy?
Well, I'm going to tell you. We have the live wire this morning. This is very interesting to me. Question is, the pilots that fly the president, are they military or civilian? And how do they qualify to fly the president? This question is from J.L. from Hope Mills. Okay, J.L., the pilots are Air Force officers who are reportedly handpicked for the job. Air Force One is operated by the Presidential Airlift Group, part of the White House Military Office, according to the White House website. The group is in the Air Force's 89th Airlift Wing at Andrews Air Force Base, according to the Air Force's Historical Research Agency. The wing, which has more than 1,000 troops, provides Global Special Air Mission, SAM, airlift, logistics, aerial port, and communications for the President, Vice President, combat commanders, senior leaders, and others, according to its Facebook page. Air Force One is used to describe any Air Force aircraft that is carrying the President, according to the White House website. Since the 1960s, the call signs have generally been used to refer to specific planes that are equipped to transport the Commander-in-Chief. Today, this name refers to one of two highly customized Boeing 747-200B series aircraft, which carry the tail codes 28000 and 29000, site says. The Air Force designation for this aircraft is VC-25 Alpha. Plane has 4,000 square feet of floor space on 3 levels, including an extensive suite for the President, the website says. It also includes a medical suite that can function as an operating room with a doctor who is on board each flight, and 2 food preparation galleys that can feed 100 people at a time. That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Very awesome.
Now you can reach Steve Devane. Livewire seeks to answer your questions of general interest and consumer topics. Initials are used to identify questioners when names are given. Contact Livewire at Fayettevilleobserver.com, or you may call Livewire at 486-3516.
And the Cape Fear River is once again back in the news. A Gen X spill merits a tough response. Stuff happens. Everyone knows that. So in the middle of all this concern about chemical spills from the Chemours plant into the Cape Fear River and into the water table around the Bladen County plant, we expect there would be concern, but also understanding when an accident puts more of the chemical Gen X into the river. Except for this, Chemours is required by law in the language of its discharge permits to notify state legislators when it happens. And guess what? They didn't. The spill appears to have happened on the 6th of October of this year, but it wasn't discovered until river monitors noticed a sudden spike in the Gen X in the water. It appears that a precursor chemical, dimer acid fluoride, was spilled and created the Gen X in the river. The company's permit requires it to notify the state within 24 hours of that spill. Michael Reagan, Secretary of the Department of Environmental Quality, was straightforward in his assessment.
It is both unlawful and unacceptable for a company to fail to report a chemical spill to the state and public as soon as possible.
Chemours could face a fine for that spill. It's unclear if the state is considering further legal action for the company's failure to report it, but it should. State tests showed that in water samples from the river, Gen X concentrations peaked at 3,700 parts per trillion after the spill. The state has set a health goal of no more than 140 parts per trillion. So let's see, now let's go back there. there was a concentration of 3,700 parts per trillion, and the really health goal is no more than 140 parts per trillion. That's quite a difference. It's unclear how Gen X may affect human health, but it is a proven carcinogen in animals. It is time for the state to get tougher with the Chemours plant.
I'm serious. That just it makes me angry.
You should be, and everybody else around here should.
All right, letters to the editor. We have one from Isabella Ponder. She lives in Fayetteville. And Isabella says, Fayetteville needs to change. Some say Fayetteville is a city with nothing to do except maybe eat. I can't help but agree with this statement. In recent years, Fayetteville has done a decent job trying to get more upscale businesses into town, like the new Metro Diner, Academy Sports, and Home Goods. To some this may be enough, but in my opinion it's not. There is much need to improve the community and make it a safer place to live. Adding restaurants and stores won't accomplish this. It will make the city look nicer, but it can't change the people inside it. With a crime rate that's 14th in the nation among 300 big cities, it's clear to see the community needs of help. If going to the mall after 8 p.m. concerns me and is dangerous to do, something must be done. Last year, during Black Friday, shots were fired. This year, my family will stay at home in order to be safe. In May, a man was accused of human trafficking 2 women. As a woman, it is scary to read about this happening in your hometown. Even though it's a global issue, I always try to see the best in my city, and still I was proved wrong. The community needs to band together to make the area a safer place to live, whether it be for you or for those to come. With a population of 204,759 as of the year 2016, it takes everyone wanting to see a change and then making one happen. From Isabella Ponder.
Interesting.
She's angry.
It sounds like she's very angry.
But you know, there's a lot to do in Fayetteville.
And they just have to go out and discover it.
Right. You have to use the weekender to let you find it.
That's
It's
right.
out there.
There's lots of stuff that I don't
There's
understand
more to
that.
do than you can get done.
I know. But let's talk about Myron B. Pitts.
Okay, what is he doing today?
Myron B. Pitts tells us that Gus, the cat, liked laps, liked the sun, and fun and chipmunks. Okay, let's see what Myron has to say. I did not know that I was allergic to cats until the year 2008, when I started dating a woman in Greensboro who owned a cat, and his name was Gus. My now wife and I dated long distance, and Claritin was an essential part of my travel kit. Gus sensed that I was allergic to him. I know this because my lap became one of his favorite spots to rest. And why me, I wondered. Because cats, I know that now. His fur stopped making me sneeze after a while, and I got used to Gus. And in Greensboro, he used to roam outdoors, and he would stay out all night sometimes. He had his claws and could be a tough little cuss. I liked that. He sometimes tangled with another cat, and their yowls would ring out throughout the neighborhood. And of course, Gus deposited gifts at our back door, half-eaten birds and voles. Once Gus chased a chipmunk into our house and around the kitchen. When we got them both back outside, Gus spent the better part of a lazy afternoon toying with his quarry. I remember how the yard and Gus's gray and black fur were drenched in the sunlight, and Gus was a happy little camper. The chipmunk was less happy. I learned not to leave food on the counter, as Gus would be up there with the quickness, nosing around looking for chow. Once I smoked up the kitchen when I turned on the oven and burned the pizza, in the pizza box we had hidden from him. Gus was a rescue from Wilmington, and Gus got his name because he chewed up the edges of Sarah's copy of St. Augustine's Confessions while she was in divinity school. Gus first became a lap cat when Sarah had her gallbladder removed. He knew she needed the support a friend told her. Gus accompanied her through many of life's transitions. Her first church, several moves, and 4 cities. She and I meeting on eHarmony, marriage, and children. Gus liked being in the mix at our Super Bowl parties and gatherings. It was more laps for Gus to explore at those parties. Our children were a challenge for Gussie. They chased him, though we kept telling them not to chase the cat. They eventually learned to stroke him gently, but nobody could pick the perfect spots like Sarah, who would rub Gus just behind the ears or under his chin. Gus slowed down dramatically over the last year. Our vet told us recently we needed to think about making that last transition into the afterlife. He suffered from severe kidney problems and possibly lymphoma. Gus started to walk creakily, as if all his 16 years were coming down on him all at once. And Saturday night, yes, Sarah knew. He had been howling, and he doesn't do that much. We got in the car to take Gus to the cat hospital. Mercifully, he died in Sarah's arms on the way to the cat hospital. Sam has asked about Gus, and I tell him that Gus is in heaven. Gus's absence is not fully real for Helen, Ann, which she is 2 years old. On Monday, she pointed to the Carolina Panthers logo on a Papa John's pizza box and said, "Gus!" And we all had a very gut-filled, chortling laugh. Sam asked us about Gus if he is coming back, and I said, "No, Gus is not coming back. He is doing fine up there in cat heaven." "I can see old Gus in my mind's eye now," said Myron Pitts. He was like on one of those lazy afternoon days, the sun on his fur and having the time of his life chasing voles and chipmunks. And since it's in heaven, even the chipmunks are having fun. And you can write columnist Myron B. Pitts at mpitts at Fayetteville Observer, mpitts at fayobserver.com, or if you would like to talk to Myron B. Pitts on the phone, you can call him at 910-486-3559.
Well, that was a very touching little editorial.
Yes, I believe Myron Pitts, Sarah, and his 2 kids really do miss Gus.
I think we should get a cat.
I'm allergic to cats, so I don't think so.
Cheers and jeers today. These are very nice. Ann Hodges from Fayetteville is cheering to PWC for their service. We had accidentally left our outside faucet dripping. PWC called about unusual water use and left hints for places to check. Thanks for the speedy response to an unusual amount of usage. That's from Ann Hodges in Fayetteville. And I love this story. Cheers to the soldier who directed traffic at the Lakewood Drive entrance of E. Melvin Honeycutt Elementary. Our regular wonderful crossing guard was not at her spot, and traffic was backed up and getting worse. We thought we'd be indefinitely stuck in the parking lot. Then the traffic started to flow. When we got to the corner, we saw a soldier had parked his vehicle and was directing traffic. Heroes say, quote, "If not me, then who?" unquote. Please send this hero 3 cheers from us, waiting in traffic, and the kids he kept safe. That was by Christine Lee in Fayetteville. So cheers, cheers, cheers to the soldier. Now send us your cheers or jeers. We want to share praise for an individual or business. Or if you're angry and you want to vent about a bad experience, submit your cheer or jeer to cheersandjeers@fayobserver.com or call 486-3590. Include your full name, hometown, and phone number, and limit your item to 125 words. To correct or cancel a submission, call 609-0651. Cheers and jeers are published as space permits. There you go. Cheers and jeers today.
The time now is 10:31 in the morning. It's Thursday, the 16th of November, 2017, and it's my time to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University. Our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call 910-672-1600 or call the toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy,
and we are proud to serve you today. And now, in brief, in St. Louis, a Southwest pilot with a gun was arrested before boarding the aircraft. A Southwest Airlines pilot was arrested early Wednesday after a loaded handgun was found in his carry-on luggage before his flight left St. Louis, Missouri, officials said. The Transportation Security Administration, or the TSA, said in a statement that local law enforcement was alerted around 4:45 a.m. and took possession of the 9mm Smith & Wesson M&P Shield that was loaded with 7 rounds of ammunition. The 51-year-old pilot, whose name was not released, was arrested on suspicion of unlawful use of a weapon. Officials at St. Louis Lambert International Airport said charges were pending through St. Louis County. And the last in brief, in Orlando, Florida, an Orlando shooter's wife wants testimony about affairs. Attorneys for the wife of the gunman who killed 49 people at a Florida nightclub want to introduce testimony that he frequently lied about visiting a friend to cheat on her. In a motion this week in Orlando's federal court, Nur Salman's attorneys say the testimony is relevant because Omar Mateen told her he was visiting his friend Nemo on June 11, 2016, hours before his rampage at the Pulse nightclub. Attorney Charles Swift says Nemo, let me look here. Attorney Charles Swift says Nemo told FBI agents that Mateen frequently used him as a cover to visit a woman he'd met through a dating website. Nemo's full name has not been released. And that's your in brief for today.
all right. Now here's some good news. The former Jubilee House will be reopening next year. It'll be called the Reveille Retreat, and it will have space for up to 24 homeless veteran mothers and children. Staff writer Amanda Dolinsinski tells us this article. When female veterans walk through the doors of the new Reveille Retreat home in Fayetteville, they should feel cherished and energized. That's the vision of Travis Pearson, President and CEO of Family Endeavors, which renovated Reveille Retreat from its former shell of the Jubilee House on Langdon Street. The new home, which could open early next year, will have space for 8 families or up to 24 homeless veteran mothers and children. I want them to feel accepted. I want them to feel a sense of hope, Pearson said. By the time someone comes to the program, if you take a minute to think what they had to go through to get that down on their luck, while they're completely broke, in debt, homeless, kids are behind in school, to have a place where they'll be able to get better at their speed, and they'll have practical, innovative resources to get there, it's just a blessing. The home was built in 2011 amid fanfare as part of ABC's Extreme Makeover Home Edition. It fell on hard times and was vacant for a while. Family Endeavors, a local organization dedicated to serving homeless veterans, bought the home in 2016 with plans to use it and other properties to serve as transitional housing for veterans. Earlier this year, the organization said it could take as long as 3 years to finish extensive repairs and renovations needed to reopen the home. They still need $400,000 to complete renovations that repaired water damage from Hurricane Matthew, handicap accessible features, and to bring structural safety up to standard. The home features private bedrooms, handicap accessible bathrooms, a communal kitchen and living space, an inside play area for small children, and a garden in the backyard. In addition to housing, this Family Endeavors will provide case management, parenting education, mental health counseling, employment education coaching, and self-sufficiency skills. According to the organization, $250,000 annually is required to run those programs. The project was a priority for Family Endeavors because Pearson said he recognized a need to serve female veterans, which was the initial focus of the former home. It's an honor to come in and pick up on the original vision the community had and keep it here and take it to the next steps, Pearson said. Women veterans have a place where they can catch their breath, get back on their feet, get their lives back together. It's a blessing. On Wednesday, Family Endeavors opened the home for a sneak peek for community leaders. Glenn Adams, chairman of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners, lauded Family Endeavors for stepping up to take over the home. You all stepped in when there was critical need, he said. You invested. You invested in this community. You invested into the lives of people of this community, and we will be forever indebted to you. For information on how to apply for a spot at Reveille Retreat, go to familyendeavors.org. And this was written by staff writer Amanda Dolinski, and you can reach her at Dolinski@FayObserver.com, or you can call Amanda at 486-3528.
And here's a little something from Leonard Pitts Jr. As you know, he is the winner of the 2004 Pulitzer Prize for commentary. He writes for the Miami Herald. The title is "You Need to Get Angrier." You are not worried enough. Granted, that may seem a nonsensical claim, assuming you don't belong to the tinfoil hat brigades who consider Donald Trump the greatest thing to hit 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue since Abraham Lincoln left for the theater. You spent the last year worrying as much as you know how. There has certainly been no shortage of things to worry about, such as white supremacy, Russian interference, and nuclear war, to name a few, and not to mention that a credible accused child molester may soon join the United States Senate as a Republican, the party of family values. Of course, the self-confessed sexual predator in the Oval Office thinks the accused child molester should step aside. News that gave irony a stroke and left satire unemployed. So yes, chances are you are worried plenty, but you are not probably worried about Brett Talley. Indeed, you've probably never heard of Brett Talley. If Trump has his way, though, Brett Talley, age 36, will soon be a federal judge. His qualifications for that honorable and lifetime position, they are pretty well non-existent. Brett Talley graduated Harvard Law School in the year 2007. So there is that. And since then, Brett Talley has worked as a law clerk, a speechwriter, and also as a deputy attorney general and solicitor general in his native Alabama. He writes horror novels and he blogs and tweets. The one thing the would-be federal judge has never done is, well, be a judge or even try a case. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, he's only been a lawyer for 3 years. The guy Trump thinks fit to oversee a courtroom has never even been in a courtroom as the attorney of record. What? What then are his qualifications? The aforementioned blogs and tweets are instructive. In them, Brett Talley emerges as a right-wing culture warrior, loudly decrying Hillary Rotten Clinton, condemning the outrage of calling for gun control after the Newtown massacre, urging his readers to join the NRA, and otherwise shredding any lingering illusion of judicial impartiality. Before Donald Trump came to town, the American Bar Association had not rated a judicial candidate not qualified since the year 2006. Counting Brett Talley, it has now given that rating 4 times since January, the rating of not qualified, which did not stop Brett Talley from sailing through the GOP-controlled Senate Judiciary Committee and onto the full Senate, where he is expected to be approved on a party line vote. Even if he isn't, news broke this week that Brett Talley failed to disclose his marriage to a White House lawyer, which has raised conflict of interest questions. It would provide little solace. There is more where he came from, including Jeffrey Mateer, who once called transgendered children part of Satan's plan, and he disavowed the separation of church and state. Jeffrey Mateer was also given a pass by the Judiciary Committee. He is also awaiting confirmation, and it bears repeating. These are lifetime appointments, ladies and gentlemen. Your children's children could end up before one of these men seeking justice. It is understandable that we are mesmerized by the frequent high-profile illustrations of Trump's unfitness, but arguably more frightening and important are the low-profile ways he is institutionalizing Trumpism, imposing changes whose effects will linger long after the stench of him has left the Oval Office, and he knows it. As Donald Trump bragged last month, the judge story is an untold story whose consequences will be felt 40 years out, and Donald Trump is right about that. So let's start telling it, ladies and gentlemen, because you are not worried enough. You could not stand to be angrier, too. And this article, again, was written by Leonard Pitts Jr. He is a columnist for the Miami Herald, and if you would like to write him, you may do so via email at lpitts@miamiherald.com.
Well, Clark, we missed the world's largest spaghetti dinner this week.
I know, I saw it on television last night when I was wrapping up my news reports. and I was shocked that we didn't see any signs where we live.
No, because we always eat it. The world's largest spaghetti dinner. You have a great picture in the kitchen. Catherine Washington and Mike Rodriguez fill plates with spaghetti in the kitchen at St. Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church on Wednesday for the church's 59th annual World's Largest Spaghetti Dinner and Greek Pastry Sale. And Adrian Thomas is stirring a giant pot of spaghetti sauce. 59th annual event has spanned generations and become one of Fayetteville's popular traditions by Paul Wolverton. Pete Canteris, known as Mr. Pete, and the other longtime organizers of the annual World's Largest Spaghetti Dinner and Greek Pastry Sale, are passing the spaghetti baskets to the next generations. As Canteris chatted with visitors in the Fellowship Hall at St. Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church on Wednesday, a youthful Jerry Anaganospoulos kept the crew back in the kitchen, humming along. Fast-moving workers heated in vast vats of meat sauce, cooked a mountain of spaghetti noodles, and plated thousands of servings. In its 59 years, the annual spaghetti dinner has become one of Fayetteville's popular traditions. Anaganospoulos aimed to exceed last year's total of about 9,000 or so plates, he said, and reach 10,000 or more for gross receipts of at least $70,000. We'd be blessed, he said. The most ever was 12,000 plates, he said. Newspaper clippings taped to a wall in the Fellowship Hall outline the event's history. Canteris pointed out pictures of himself and the event co-founder Pete Paris, dating back to the 1970s and 80s. In his early years, an advertisement shows a spaghetti plate cost $1.75. By the 25th anniversary in 1983, it reached $3 a plate. This year, $7 bought a serving topped with spiced meat sauce, a roll, and a dollop of Parmesan cheese. That makes me hungry. With inflation, couldn't the church charge more? We're not trying to make a killing off of it, he said. We're just trying to help our church and the community. The biggest rush comes in the morning between 10:30 and 11:30 a.m. That's when people from offices and other workplaces stop by to pick up orders of 100 to 200 plates. Another crunch was around 2:30 p.m. when the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office scheduled to pick up 800 plates.
Wow.
It's the largest order.
800 plates?
800 plates of spaghetti.
Who in the heck were they feeding?
That's the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office.
You think they were feeding the prisoners in the jail?
I don't know. People like Herman Gilmore and Maureen Yerby of Fayetteville come every year. Gilmore picked up 20 servings for his office, a Fayetteville law firm. They just like to help out, he said, and he likes the sauce. Yerby, buying a plate and some baklava, also praised the sauce. It's hearty, it's rich, it's meaty, she said. I mean, it's perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about it. Anagostopoulos said, it's the sauce recipe that makes the spaghetti special, and he wouldn't say what's inside the recipe, Clark. Can't give away the special ingredients, then everybody would steal the recipe, right? He said with a laugh. Now you can reach staff writer Paul Wolverton at pwolverton@fayeobserver.com, or you can call him at 486-3512.
It really is good spaghetti.
It's delicious. I'm sorry we missed it.
I am too. We'll just have to make sure we put that on our calendar as a reminder.
That's right.
And here we have a little opinion piece, and it's time to tax college sports. This was written by Joe Nocera. I'm no fan of the tycoon-friendly deficit-expanding tax bills that House and Senate Republicans have written, but there's one surprising sphere of economic life where the two plans actually offer marked improvements over the status quo, and that is college sports. College sports, of course, are big business. They generate around $13 billion a year in revenue. If college athletics were a publicly traded corporation, it would rank 216th on the Fortune 500, just below Kellogg Company. You know the cornflakes people?
Right.
Yet for tax purposes, athletic departments are treated as part of a university, which means they are essentially tax exempt. What's more, boosters get the same tax breaks for contributing to the athletic department as they would get for donations to a new science center. 80% of the contribution is tax deductible. And how do boosters contribute to athletic departments aside from handling cash under the table to the athletes? One way is by giving capital to capital campaigns to build or renovate their facilities. But another way is to give money to a particular team in order to claim a season ticket in the most desirable part of the stadium. So now I know how all those 50-yard line tickets on the 20th row, where they go to, and who gets them. In professional sports, they have a straightforward term for this fee. It's called a seat license. Universities avoid such a crassly commercial term. Instead, they use words like donations, or words like contributions, or words like premium seating programs. For instance, in 2016, the University of Florida football team generated, now this is just the football team, ladies and gentlemen, they generated $82.3 million in revenue for that year. It's amazing. Of that amount, $35.6 million came from the ticket purchases, which are not deductible. But another $42.7 million came from contributions from Gator Boosters Incorporated, a tax-exempt charity that allocates tickets to football and basketball games based on contributions. The more you contribute, the better your seat becomes. Aha! Ditto to the University of Texas, Notre Dame, and Ohio State University, and everywhere else in big-time college football. And a big reason these schools can charge as much as they do, upwards of $25,000 in many cases, is because the guy that is buying a seat license gets the same 80% deduction as the guy giving money to the science center. But as John Colombo, a law professor at the University of Illinois, has pointed out, seat licenses are not donations. If you receive a quid pro quo, he told McClatchy newspapers some years ago, it is considered not to be a donation, and the IRS has held that position forever, and it has been upheld by the court. But in the 1980s, after the Internal Revenue Service tried to enforce its position, Congress passed a law exempting mandatory donations for college sports tickets. In an email to me, Colombo wrote, "Big-time college sports is already a cesspool of money, and the federal government does not need to be subsidizing a 50-yard line ticket seat or skyboxes at the University of Alabama or Notre Dame or Michigan or anywhere else." Amazingly, both the House and the Senate now appear to agree with Colombo. A spokesman for Kevin Brady, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, and a Texan, told the Austin American-Statesman that the deduction is the epitome of a special interest loophole, and that it was forcing taxpayers to subsidize front row seats and luxury boxes for wealthy boosters. Mm-hmm. So we, the taxpayer, have been subsidizing these guys, which is completely accurate. It is absurd to treat seat licenses like contributions to an engineering school, and it's nice to see Congress finally acknowledge that. Additionally, the House tax bill calls for a 20% excise tax against the salaries of the 5 highest paid executives of a nonprofit organization once those salaries top $1 million. For most nonprofits, this will have little or no effect, but for universities in general, and the athletic department in particular, this could be a very big deal. Still, what the House and Senate have proposed is plenty good enough, at least as a starting point. It is an acknowledgement that college sports is not just another extracurricular activity, but rather a profit-maximizing enterprise using its affiliation with universities to duck paying their taxes they really ought to be paying. I cannot say that I'm rooting for the tax bills to become law, but if they do, seeing college sports taxed like the business, it will almost make it worth it. Joe Nocera is a Bloomberg View columnist. He has written business columns for Esquire, GQ, and the New York Times, and is the former editorial director of Fortune. He is the co-author of Indentured, the Inside Story of the Rebellion Against the NCAA.
Okay, now we have Bond Committee discusses bathrooms for senior center by Monica Venituoli. Parks and Recreation Bond Projects Committee discussed the Seniors Advisory Commission's concerns with the Senior Center West Designs bathrooms at its meeting Wednesday night. The committee is tasked with implementing Fayetteville's $35 million Parks and Recreation bond that voters approved last year. Fayetteville, Cumberland County Parks and Recreation Department's Michael Gibson said city staff represented the design for Senior Center West to the Seniors Advisory Commission. They liked the basic floor plan, Gibson said. However, Gibson said the commission members expressed concerns about the number of bathrooms. The center will be located in the Lake Rim area and is scheduled to be completed by 2019. The Raleigh design firm HH Architecture is designing the center. Original design includes seven toilets for each gender and 2 single occupancy restrooms for each gender. The commission members suggested making 5 toilets and or urinals for men and 9 toilets for women. Councilman Bill Crisp said he wants to do what the residents want. I don't have any problem with it, Crisp said. Crisp added that he just wants to make sure the city manages the project efficiently. We cannot have another fiasco like the Fast Transit Center, Crisp said.
And renaming the Spring Lake Post Office for Pate has been approved. In Spring Lake, a year after longtime resident and town historian Howard Pate Jr. died, the U.S. House of Representatives have voted to rename the town post office for him. U.S. Representative Richard Hudson, who introduced the legislation, announced its passage Wednesday. And this was written by staff writer Roger Mullen, and you can reach him at rmullen@fayobserver.com, or you may call him at 910-486-3561. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations, and we request your support to contribute to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions, please call 910-672-1600.
Okay, and we're now going to do our death notices here. We're going to begin first with Cumberland County. Lula Mae Stidwell, of 69 of Fayetteville, Terry Johnson funeral service. Forrest D. Horn, age 62, of Fayetteville, from the Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Arthur C. Alford, age 60, of Fayetteville, the Wiseman Mortuary. Rebecca M. Curie, age 97, of Fayetteville, the Wiseman Mortuary. Moving to the Cape Fear region, Mary Davis, age 62, of McCall, South Carolina, Purcell Funeral Home of Laurinburg. Michael Anthony Quick, age 58, of Laurinburg, Richard Bowles Funeral Service. Ruth B. Cotton, of Woodbridge, Virginia, formerly of Rowland Hills Funeral Home. Judy Moore, age 57, of Gibson, Purcell Funeral Home of Laurinburg. Ella Mae Dukes, age 83, of Rayford, Bowie Funeral Home. And our funerals today: Millsap Joseph of St. Paul, 1 p.m., Cunningham and Sons Mortuary, Cunningham and Sons Mortuary. Bingham Ariana, 2 months, of Fayetteville, 3 p.m., Lafayette Funeral Home, Lafayette Funeral Home. Moving to Cumberland County, Charles M. Romans Jr. of Fayetteville, Charles Chuck Romans, age 64, of Fayetteville, North Carolina, passed away at his home on 11/10/17. Service celebrating his life will be held on 11/17/17 at Oldham, Roberts and Powell in Richmond, Kentucky, with visitation from 12 to 2 p.m., service at 2 p.m. and burial immediately after at Madison Memorial Gardens. Retired Staff Sergeant Jerome Herbert Askew, Sr. Retired Staff Sergeant Jerome Herbert Askew, Sr., age 87, of Fayetteville, died Sunday, November 12, 2017. The funeral will be Friday at noon, First Baptist Church, Moore Street, and the viewing will be at the Wiseman Mortuary Thursday from 2 to 7 p.m., with a burial in Cumberland Memorial Gardens, the Wiseman Mortuary. Michael Bobby Arpin. Michael Bobby Arpin, age 64, passed away on Sunday, November 12, 2017, at Duke University Hospital. There is no service planned at this time. Charles W. Smalls, Jr. Charles William Smalls, Jr., age 78, died Saturday, November 11, 2017. Funeral services will be at Reeves Funeral Home Chapel, Saturday, November 18, 2017 at 11 a.m., with full military honors. Visitation will be Saturday from 10 to 11 prior to the service. Reverend Milton R. Locke, Sr. Mr. Milton R. Locke, Sr., age 74, of 2810 Kingdom Way, Fayetteville, North Carolina, departed this life on November 11, 2017. The funeral services will be held on Saturday, November 18th at 11 a.m. in the Wiseman Mortuary Chapel. Janice Faye Taylor. Janice Faye Taylor, age 69, of Fayetteville, died Tuesday, November 14, 2017. The services are entrusted to Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Wilma Crumpler Williams. Wilma Crumpler Williams, age 88, of Fayetteville, died Tuesday, November 14th, 2017. Funeral is Saturday at 12:30. Sullivan Highland Funeral Service. Renee Joseph Ralt from Hope Mills. Renee Joseph Ralt, age 73, of Hope Mills, died Monday, November 13th, 2017. Pinecrest Funeral and Cremation Services of Hope Mills.
And in the region and elsewhere, Joyce Sewell Scardiglia, age 84, of Chapel Hill, died Monday, 13 November 2017. The funeral will be on Friday at 11 a.m. in the Oak Ridge Cemetery of St. Paul's. The burial will be at the Oak Ridge Cemetery of St. Paul's, and the McNeil Mackey Funeral Home of St. Paul's has been entrusted with the funeral services. Flora Gregg Dunham, born on the 1st of December 1929, passed away peacefully 3 weeks before her 88th birthday on the 13th of November 2017 after a brief period of declining health. The funeral will be at the Friendship Baptist Church in Dunleaville, North Carolina at 11 a.m. on Saturday, November 18th, 2017. The family will receive friends from 10 to 10:45 a.m. in the church fellowship hall. The burial will follow at Arlington National Cemetery at a later date. Arrangements by O'Quinn Peebles Phillips Funeral Home and Crematory of Lillington are entrusted with those services. Online condolences can be made at www.oppfn.com. Laura Mack Bird, age 93, of Bowie's Creek, died Monday, 13 November 2017. The funeral will be on Sunday at 2 p.m. O'Quinn Peebles Phillips Funeral Home, and the viewing will be at the O'Quinn Peebles Funeral Home. Funeral at the funeral home on Sunday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. The burial will be at the Friendship Baptist Church Cemetery. O'Quinn Peebles Funeral Home and Crematory are handling the funeral services. Alice Faye Frank Benton, age 85, of Cerro Gorda, went to be with the Lord on Tuesday, 14 November 2017 at Liberty Commons and Rehabilitation in Whiteville. The final rites will be held at 2 p.m. on Friday, 17 November 2017 at Worthington Funeral Home, with Reverend Tim Moore and Reverend George Strickland officiating. The interment will follow in Columbus Memorial Park in Whiteville. The family will receive friends at from 12 noon to 1:45 p.m. prior to the service on Friday at Worthington Funeral Home. Ida Lenora II, age 96, of 807 Raleigh Road, passed away Wednesday, 15 November 2017 at the Southwood Nursing Center. A funeral service will be held at 2 p.m. on Saturday, November 18th, 2017 at the Elizabeth Missionary Baptist Church, with the Reverend John Hobbs officiating. The interment will follow in the church cemetery. The family will receive friends from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., 1 hour prior to the service at the church. Mincy Jean Gilbert Johnson, age 70, of Lillington, died Sunday, 12 November 2017. There will be a graveside service on Friday at 2 p.m. in the Town of Coates Cemetery. O'Quinn Peebles Phillips Funeral Home and Crematory of Lillington will be handling funeral services. Sergeant Roy C. Dearman, age 87, of Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, died Monday, 13 November 2017. The funeral will be on Monday at 11 a.m. at the Central Baptist Church in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. The visitation will be at the Ritchie and Peach Funeral Home in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky on Sunday at 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and the burial will be at the Lakeside Memorial Gardens in Somerset, Kentucky. Ritchie and Peach Funeral Home are handling the services for Sergeant Roy C. Dearman. Sheila Parrish Williams, age 70, of Elizabethtown, died Tuesday on the 14th of November 2017. There will be a graveside service on Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Floyd Memorial Gardens. All services will be handled by the Floyd Mortuary and Crematory. And in Clinton, Donald Ray Underwood, age 65, of Clinton, died Saturday, 11 November 2017. The funeral will be on Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Little Piney Grove Missionary Baptist Church. The viewing will be at the Carter Funeral Home on Friday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The burial will be at the church cemetery with full military honors, and the Carter Funeral Home will be handling those services. Clara Baby May Williams, age 77, of Lillington, died Thursday, 9 November 2017. The funeral will be on Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Nehemia Building Ministries in Dunn. The viewing will be at the Dafford Funeral Home of Dunn on Friday from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. The burial will be at the Rest Haven Cemetery in Dunn, and the Dafford Funeral Home of Dunn is handling those funeral services. Leslie J. Thompson, age 86, of Dunn, died Monday, 13 November 2017. The funeral will be on Saturday at noon at the McNeil Memorial Reformed Free Will Baptist Church in Dunn. The viewing will be at the Dafford Funeral Home in Dunn on Friday from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. and the burial will be at the Rest Haven Cemetery in Dunn. The Dafford Funeral Home of Dunn is handling those funeral services. Veri May Baldwin, of age 88, of Lumber Bridge, died Sunday, 12 November 2017. The funeral will be on Friday at 1 p.m. at the Laurel Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Lumber Bridge. The viewing will be at the Bowie Funeral Home Chapel on Thursday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The burial will be at the Laurel Hill Church Cemetery, and the Bowie Funeral Home is handling those funeral services. Alexis Jade Oxidine, age 2, of Roland, died Monday, 13 November 2017. The funeral will be on Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Richard Bowles Funeral Service Chapel, and the visitation will be held at the funeral home. On Saturday at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Richard Bowles Funeral Service will be handling those services. Owen James Caltagirone, age 15, of Lillington, died Monday, 13 November 2017. The memorial will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Crossroads Church in Lillington. The visitation will be at the church after the service on Saturday, and the O'Quinn Peebles Phillips Funeral Home and Crematory of Lillington is handling all of those funeral services. Formerly of Carthage, Walter Thomas March Sr., age 77, of Pine Bluff, again, formerly of Carthage, died Saturday, 11 November 2017. The memorial will be on Thursday at noon at the Simon Funeral Home Chapel. This is a private memorial tribute, and the Simon Funeral Home of Southern Pines is handling those funeral services. Clarice Lewis Butler, age 86, of Duplin, died Tuesday, 14 November 2017. The funeral will be on Friday at 3 p.m. at the Duplin Pentecostal Free Will Baptist Church. Visitation will be the Bladen Gaskins Funeral Home on Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and the burial will be at the Bladen Memorial Gardens. Bladen Gaskins is handling the funeral services. Calvin Lee Parker, age 87, of Roseboro, died Tuesday, 14 November 2017. The funeral will be on Friday at 3 p.m. at the Butler Funeral Home. The visitation will be from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. and the burial will be at Roseboro Cemetery. The Butler Funeral Home of Roseboro is handling those funeral services. Gerald Neil Warren, age 57, of Roseboro, died Saturday, 11 November 2017. The funeral will be on Saturday at 11 a.m. at the First Baptist Church in Roseboro. The viewing will be at the Carter Funeral Home Friday from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. The burial will be at the Warren Cemetery. The Carter Funeral Home is handling those funeral services. Ann Ruth Rogers Falk, age 90, of Fairmont, died Monday, 13 November 2017. There will be a graveside service on Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Floyd Memorial Cemetery. The visitation will be at the Floyd Funeral Services in Fairmont on Saturday from 11 a.m. to, on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and that is for Ann Ruth Rogers Falk. And these are your obituaries for today, the 16th of November 2017, Thursday.
Okay, going to Billy Graham. Billy Graham's advice is to take heed of advice on drug addiction and be diligent in helping your children. Question. Several months ago, our son died of a drug overdose. We're still overwhelmed with sadness and guilt. We didn't even realize he was into drugs until it was too late. I don't know why I'm writing, but maybe you can urge parents to be more alert. From Mrs. K.S. Answer. Thank you for your letter. May it encourage others to be more alert to this danger. The Bible reminds us that the wise listen to advice. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 15. Losing a child is surely one of the most painful ordeals any parent will ever experience. And my heart goes out to you and your family. Let me assure you, however, that God also knows what you're going through. And even in the midst of your deepest heartache, may you discover peace. Jesus' promise is for you. My peace I give you. From the book of John, chapter 14, verse 27. Drug addiction continues to be a terrible scourge in our society, and I can't imagine the evil that grips the minds and hearts of those who seek to lure others into drugs. And maybe you're right, parents need to know the warning signs of drug or alcohol abuse and take steps to intervene. Ignoring problems or simply hoping they'll go away accomplishes nothing. Often the most loving thing we can do for our children is to give them clear direction. Parents also need to know who their children's friends are and how they are spending their free time. Teens can be easily influenced by others. They always need to know, however, that we love them, and because we love them and deeply care what happens to them, most of all, we need to pray for them and urge them to commit their lives to Jesus and His plan for their lives. May this be true of you as well. Readers, you can write to the Reverend Billy Graham at the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201. Or you can call Billy at 1-877-2-GRAHAM. And the website for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association is at billygraham.org.Tribune Media Services.
And here we have the headline for Dear Abby: a man who hates his job drags down his girlfriend with his continuous griping about his job.
I know some people like that.
Dear Abby, I had been dating my boyfriend for 3 whole years. And to make mention here, we have lived together for the last 2 years. We have a great life together, but there is a problem I do not know how to solve because Jeremy hates his job. We met in the education department of our college and university, and after graduation, we both took employment in the public school system. I enjoy my career, but he loathes his. He complains constantly without seeming to take action on his issues. I know he is miserable, but he hasn't looked for other jobs or enrolled in a new school program. I have bad days too, but I've reached the end of listening to the constant griping. I am usually a very upbeat and positive person, but he is dragging down my mood because of his hate for his job. He says I need to guide him and give him some direction, but I don't know what to say. I don't think it is my responsibility to tell another adult what he should or shouldn't do with his life. Now, I don't mind helping him by talking through his choices, but he wants more from me. This is the man I want to marry. Is there a way to get past this issue and make our lives work? Signed, Uncertain and Lost. Dear Uncertain and Lost, until your boyfriend has settled this uncertainty about his work life, any discussion about marriage should be put on the back burner immediately. I agree, you are not qualified to give him career advice. However, you might ask him to tell you what exactly it is that he hates about his job, and being in the public school system, I bet you that he dislikes rude children, rude students, disgruntled parents, and probably dislikes the school administration. He can't seem to get around it. But at any rate, you should ask him what he would rather be doing instead of teaching problem children in the public school system. His answers may give both of you insight into what he may be better suited for emotionally, and it may stimulate him to do something positive about his future. Once he has more clarity, there may be places he can go for career counseling that can help him decide what his next step should be. The last resort is for him to go into the military. Next, Dear Abby, we bought our first home 7 months ago, and we just love it, except for one major issue. Our neighbor, who is the same age as I am and she is the biggest hypochondriac and the laziest person I have ever seen. Now, she was training to be a police officer, but she had a headache every other day. And guess what? Last year, the police department relieved her as a police officer. And ever since then, we have been supporting her with food, with Wi-Fi, with over-the-counter medications, and even feminine products. I finally cut her off for about a week until she Facebooked messaged me and said that she was starving and had not eaten for 2 days. So I, like a weakling, broke in. I gave her a job last week and she didn't show up the very first day. What should I do? It's causing arguments between my husband and me, and I hate to think that she's hungry. Signed, Troubled in the South. Dear Troubled in the South, you are a kind-hearted person, but you are being taken advantage of by this lazy, no-good-for-nothing person. If your neighbor has family that can be located, they should be able to be notified that she is unable to care for herself. If no relative is willing to take responsibility for her, then contact social services or direct the woman to the nearest food bank or soup kitchen. I suspect her problems are more extensive than headaches and procrastination. Readers, you can write Dear Abby at dearabby.com, or you can write a letter to her by giving her an envelope, addressing your envelope, Dear Abby, Post Office Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069.
It's horoscope time. Today is Thursday, November 16, 2017. Stella Wilder. Are you born today? You are not always one to look out for yourself, to make the right decisions, or to steer clear of obstacles and dangers. Indeed, there may be times in which you do quite the opposite and expose yourself to otherwise. You are compelled to push yourself to experience as much of life as you can. Scorpio, step up October 23rd through November 21st. Scorpio, that which has to be done today is something you mostly want to avoid, or you have in the past. Come on, build up your courage. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. All's well with that ends well, but you don't know that things are ready for their conclusion, do you? Keep looking ahead. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. Capri, you may be facing stiff competition soon, so be sure to take time to prepare and to acquire any and all tools you may need. Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th. You've been second-guessing yourself lately, and that has to stop. You have quite a challenge to overcome. Be confident. Pisces, February 19th to March 20th. Pisces, you can give yourself a much-needed boost today and help a friend at the same time. Such multitasking may be required more and more. And Aries, March 21st through April 19th. Aries, you've been teaching important lessons of late, but today you're likely to learn one of them on your own, and be quite thankful for it too. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. Taurus, patience is the key that can unlock many doors today, and show of force is likely to prove an error you cannot easily unmake. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. Gemini, your thinking is sound, but you may not be considering options that are more unusual or rare. It's time to give one of them a try. And Cancer, here you go, Clark, June 21st to July 22nd. Avoid threats of any kind today, and you'll almost surely get what you want. The more you work with others, the better. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. What you do today, Leo, is likely to surprise many, including yourself. What you do afterward may put you in a whole new category of accomplishment. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. Someone who doesn't know you is all trying to sum you up, so it may be time for you to step in and set the record straight. And Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. Libra, an idea is put forward today, and whether or not it is yours, you're going to want to see how far it can take you and how fast. It's our horoscope for today.
And now another article about the People's Pharmacy. It's tongue twister time. The low-dose naltrexone provides a surprising pain relief. And this was written to Joe and Teresa Graydon of the People's Pharmacy. Question: I have dealt with body pain for many years. Like the proverbial frog in boiling water, my pain increased gradually over the years, and I just dealt with it. And I wasn't using medications because I seemed to have so many side effects from those pain medications. This summer, my doctor put me on a low-dose naltrexone. It is not an opioid. Medical oversight is essential for people switching from opioids to low-dose naltrexone. But not all doctors know about low-dose naltrexone, or LDN. So it is essential to find a doctor who is experienced in prescribing this medicine. Low-dose naltrexone has definitely helped me with my pain. I can even think and do activities. I have not noticed any side effects. The studies of low-dose naltrexone, or LDN, are very interesting, and there is potential that it might be used for more than just pain. Answer: far from being an opioid, naltrexone blocks opioid receptors. You may have heard of its life-saving use in rescuing people who have overdosed on a narcotic and are sitting on death's doorstep. Low-dose naltrexone is being investigated for its ability to relieve the pain of fibromyalgia. People are also considering it as a possible treatment for Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis, chronic fatigue syndrome, and ALS, aka also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. While you are right that the studies are interesting, a lot more research is needed to determine which conditions might respond well to low-dose naltrexone. It appears that this treatment is non-toxic as well as affordable. Question: I read your column about a woman who stopped taking aspirin and had a heart attack. Almost 30 years ago, I started taking aspirin. In December 2015, I was getting ready to have shoulder replacement surgery. There were a lot of scans and tests to be sure everything looked good before my surgery. And they all of them, I say that again, they all checked out fine. A week before the surgery, I had to stop taking my aspirin, my omega-3 fish oil, and over-the-counter supplements. And 2 days before the surgery, I woke up fuzzy. As it turned out, I had a blood clot go into my brain, and it caused a mild stroke. After 3 months of heart monitoring and tests, the neurology doctor said it was rare, but they think going off aspirin caused the blood to clot and stop up a small artery. Answer: Swedish researchers reported that stopping low-dose aspirin appears to increase the risk for heart attack or a stroke. They hypothesize that this may be a rebound clotting effect. This new information poses a dilemma for surgeons. They often advise patients to stop aspirin prior to surgery in order to prevent excessive bleeding. But this new information they call for a re-evaluation of the protocol of stopping aspirin before surgery. And the final question for Joe and Teresa Graydon of the People's Pharmacy. Question: I was on hydrochlorothiazide to control my blood pressure for more than 10 years. I suffered through many episodes of gout before I discovered that HCTZ, or hydrochlorothiazide, raised uric acid levels. Well, I discussed this little issue with my internist, who said he could put me on allopurinol or take me off of HCTZ. I chose the latter and went on allopurinol, and guess what? My gout episodes have greatly diminished. Answer: gout is an excruciating inflammation of one or more joints linked to high uric acid levels, and diuretics like hydrochlorothiazide can indeed raise uric acid levels. Such medicines are often prescribed to lower blood pressure. You may write to the Graydons via their website at peoplespharmacy.com. And I can see that it is 11:36 in the morning on Thursday, 16 November 2017, and I would like to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency, and we broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions at all or any comments, please call 910-672-1600 or call the toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy,
and we are proud to serve you today.
let's go to the Washington Post columnist Kathleen Parker. She has an article entitled, "What to My Wondering Eyes Did He Say?" Without nearly enough fanfare, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell made history this week with a scant 4 words, "I believe the women." All across America, forks dropped, glasses shattered, knees wobbled, as women turned to each other in astonishment. Wait, what? Did he say what I think he said? McConnell, whose characteristic solemnity inspires envy in statutes, suddenly became irresistibly magnificent. Admit it. You wanted to hug him. The Senate leader was responding to a reporter's question about the alleged sexual misconduct of Roy Moore, the erstwhile Ten Commandments judge and aspiring U.S. Senator from Alabama. Moore, as you surely know, has been accused of sexual misconduct by 5 women who claimed that he groped, attempted to rape, or otherwise made overtures when they were teens and he was in his 30s, in the 1970s. McConnell, who fought Moore's candidacy even before the accusations, has now joined several other Republicans in urging Moore to step aside before Alabama's December 12th special election, saying he is unfit to serve. Anyone who knows Moore would tell you that he won't quit, while skeptics and loyalists shrug at the charges, saying they're politically motivated. Shockingly, as Bill Clinton can attest, ugly things tend to surface when people aspire to high places. Sadly, there are often also true things, though it seems these days that one's moral compass follows the needle of political affiliation. This is why McConnell's words were so stunning. Rather than try to ensure that Republicans keep the seat, he opted to do the right thing. It's a shame we have to be surprised when this happens. But rare is the politician who is also a statesman. In fairness, one observes that the man Moore allegedly was in those days may not be the same man today. As a society, we tend to believe that people can change and be forgiven for past transgressions, especially if they've led exemplary lives in the interim. But forgiveness first requires that one confess and repent. Moore has done neither. His denial and steadfast refusal to step aside may be viewed in one of two ways. Either he's innocent or he's confident that his supporters don't care if he is guilty. As in, that was a long time ago, and that's not the Roy Moore we knew. Both scenarios could be true, though having lived in Alabama, I lean toward the latter scenario. In a state where Moore achieved hero status in some quarters for refusing a federal judge's order to remove a Ten Commandments monument from his court building, and where good old boys look out for each other, it's much easier to blame the media's fake news for Moore's troubles than to be bedeviled by women with their cursed agendas. Moore is threatening to sue the Washington Post, which broke the story, after a month-long investigation that included corroboratively interviews with at least 30 people. On Monday, a fifth woman, Beverly Young Nelson, came forward with a detailed accusation of how Moore attempted to rape her in his car when she was 16. She claims Moore choked her and dumped her, crying, onto the pavement. He allegedly ordered her to keep quiet since no one would believe just a child. Moore refutes even knowing Nelson, though he seems demonstrably false. Nelson produced her 1977 high school yearbook featuring an inscription by Moore. Apparently smitten by his inner muse, he wrote, "To a sweeter, more beautiful girl, I could not say Merry Christmas. Could you maybe have said congratulations and best of luck in the future?" Moore's pearls seem rather personal for someone unremembered. Then again, would-be poets in the South, especially those who favor themselves ladies' men, have been known to indulge in inflated flattery. Had Moore been elderly at the time, one might have thought him mere Dodie, a harmless hybrid of Don Juan and Don Quixote, tilting at maidens in a trance of romantic chivalry. But Moore wasn't elderly, or Dodie, and 5 women who didn't know each other have shared similarly sickening memories. The Post stands by its exhaustively researched story, and anyone with common sense stands next to McConnell, whose words must have fallen like musical notes on the ears of the silence. We'll never know with certainty what happened some 40 years ago, but in the future McConnell's stand surely will make a difference for other women who fear they will not be believed in similar circumstances. In the meantime, here's an inscription from Moore's yearbook. "I have 2 words for you, and they're not Merry Christmas." The Washington Post columnist Kathleen Parker, she has an email address at kathleenparker@washpost.com.
Organic food purists assail the designation for hydroponics. This was written by Lisa Radke of the Associated Press. In Montpelier, Vermont, can a tomato, or is it tomato?
Don't know.
Well, can a tomato grown in a nutrient solution instead of dirt be called organic? Some purists do not think so. The National Organic Standards Board, which advises the U.S. Department of Agriculture, voted this month against a proposal to exclude hydroponics and aquaponics which is the raising of plants without soil and fish using the same water, from the USDA's organic certification program. Many traditional organic farmers and their supporters say allowing hydroponic farms to be certified organic erodes the integrity of the $16 billion U.S. organic produce industry. To them, organic farming is about far more than not using toxic pesticides. It is rooted in enhancing the fertility of soils, a concept developed in the early 20th century by pioneering organic farmers. Organic farmers worked hard to create the National Organic Program in the year 2000. An achievement they say is now being watered down by allowing hydroponic farms to be part of the organic industry. Unfortunately, those very things that it was created to do, which I think in the beginning it did do, is now really damaging because they are certifying things that none of us believe are organic, said Dave Chapman of Longwind Farm in East Thetford, Vermont. Traditional organic farmers feel like this is a complete slap in the face, said Adriana Natsoulas, an executive director of Northeast Organic Farming Association of New York. They feel that organic is now a complete joke and it means absolutely nothing, and their years of working and their dedication and their commitment is for naught. The Organic Trade Association said it did not support the proposal to prohibit hydroponics or aquaponics because of the way it was written. Mariana Kufone, executive director of the Recirculating Farms Coalition, which represents hydroponic and aquaponic farmers, said that the law left room for the meaning of organic to expand. She said she was shocked that so many people opposed hydroponic and aquaponic farming from being labeled as such organic. I thought it was an absolute no-brainer that hydroponics and aquaponics, when done well, can meet organic standard, and why wouldn't anyone want that included, she said. She was completely shocked. They are excellent on water reduction, they are excellent on space use, they are excellent on intensive production, so we are using less resources and creating more food, and that, to me, just seems smarter. Work smarter, not harder, as they say. Many such farms are interested in becoming certified organic because it is a growing market, she said, and it is essentially, it puts this style of farming at a premium as well, she said. And of course, when you go to the grocery store and you see organic produce compared to the regularly grown produce, we find that it is more expensive, don't we, Nancy?
We do, indeed, it is.
It is more expensive. And is it really organic? That's the question.
That's the question. All right, how many of you have heard of Da Vinci? I'm sure everyone has. Well, here is a painting. This article is by Karen Matthews, the Associated Press. Painting of Salvador Mundi, painted by our master, Leonardo da Vinci. And we have bidding representatives in a picture. We're in New York. A painting of Christ by the Renaissance master, Leonardo da Vinci, sold for a record $450 million at an auction on Wednesday, smashing previous records for artwork sold at an auction or privately. Can you imagine selling your painting for $450 million? The painting, called Salvador Mundi, Italian for Savior of the World, is one of fewer than 20 paintings by Leonardo known to exist, and the only one in private hands. It was sold by Christie's auction house, which didn't immediately identify the buyer. The highest price ever paid for a work of art at auction had been $179.4 million for Pablo Picasso's painting Women of Algiers in May of 2015, also at Christie's in New York. The highest known sale price for any artwork has been $300 million for Wilhelm de Kooning's painting Interchange, sold privately in September 2015 by the David Geffen Foundation to hedge fund manager Kenneth C. Griffin. A backer of the Salvador Mundi auction had guaranteed a bid of at least $100 million. The opening bid of the auction, which ran for 19 minutes. The price hit $300 million about halfway through the bidding. People in the auction house gallery applauded and cheered when the bidding reached $300 million. And when the hammer came down on the final bid, $400 million, the record sale price of $450 million includes the buyer's premium, a fee paid by the winner to the auction house. 26-inch tall Leonardo da Vinci painting dates from around 1500 and shows Christ dressed in Renaissance-style robes, his right hand poised in blessing as his left hand holds a crystal sphere. His path from Leonardo's workshop to the auction block of Christie's was not smooth. Once owned by King Charles I of England, it disappeared from view until 1900 when it resurfaced and was acquired by a British collector. At that time, it was attributed to a Leonardo disciple rather than to the master himself. The painting was sold again in 1958 and then was acquired in 2005, badly damaged and partly painted over by a consortium of art dealers who paid less than $10,000. The art dealers restored the painting and documented its authenticity as a work by Leonardo. The painting was sold Wednesday by Russian billionaire Dmitry Rublev, who bought it in 2013 for $127.5 million in a private sale that became the subject of a continuing lawsuit. Da Vinci's Christ painting sells for a record of $450 million.
And we have an article from Drew Brooks, the military editor of the Fayetteville Observer, says that North Carolina World War II veterans are to receive France's highest military award. Salvatore Maiello spent more than 3 years in Europe during World War II fighting to drive back German forces from Africa, Italy, and France. His unit, the 67th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Gun Battalion, was assigned to a French Army unit for most of the fighting. They provided artillery fires and protecting the troops from German bombers. On Friday, the French government will thank Maiello for those efforts alongside other North Carolina veterans who will receive the Legion of Honor, France's highest military honor. The Consul General of France to the U.S. Southeast, Louis de Corral, will bestow the medal to 4 veterans during a ceremony planned for the state capitol on East Edenton Street in Raleigh. In addition to Salvatore Maiello, who lives in Fayetteville, the 3 other veterans are John P. Irby, III of Raleigh, Morton Jenkins of New Bern, and Robert C. Center of Fuquay Varina. According to officials with the Consulate General, the veterans are being honored in order to express France's eternal gratitude to those who liberated it from oppression from 1944 to 1945. Salvatore Maiello, age 94, reached the rank of Tech 5 grade during World War II and is a retired Command Sergeant Major who also served in the Dominican Republic and Vietnam, and who last served as the senior enlisted soldier of the 35th Signal Brigade in 1974. Following his retirement, he spent 20 years managing a golf course on Fort Bragg. The son of Italian immigrants, Salvatore Maiello grew up in Ambler, Pennsylvania near Philadelphia, and was working as an asbesto factory worker when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in late 1941. The next April, after he turned 19, Salvatore Maiello enlisted in the Army. I don't think I had any idea of what I signed up for. I just signed up and got sent to wherever the Army decided they needed me, and to do whatever the Army needed me to do, he said. After training in Virginia, Salvatore Maiello began his military career with the 1st Battalion, 67th Coast Artillery Regiment, which would later become the 67th Anti-Aircraft Gun Battalion. The unit was initially assigned to defending the United States and was positioned with its 9mm guns in Paterson, New Jersey, where the unit defended New York City and nearby airplane engine manufacturers. But by late 1942, Salvatore Maiello said the unit was preparing to deploy overseas, and in early 1943, he and his fellow soldiers landed in Algeria to join the Allies fighting in North Africa. Salvatore Maiello was a lineman assigned to the artillery unit's communications platoon. He and others like him were tasked with ensuring the batteries and the commanders in the FDC, the Fire Direction Center, could communicate. And it was often dangerous work with the German forces targeting the communications lines, and the linemen often needed to work near the front lines in support of the forward observers. You go out there before anyone else does, and you come back way afterwards, said Salvatore Maiello. At other times, Salvatore Maiello served as a motorcycle messenger, relaying commands across the battlefield. In Africa, the soldiers were almost immediately under attack. They were targeted by German bombers the very night they arrived on boat from Staten Island, New York, following a dozen days at sea. Salvatore Maiello said the German planes first dropped flares which lit up the entire area. He said the anti-aircraft unit was not prepared to fight and could do little more than watch as they came under attack. I was sure every German up there in the sky was looking straight at me, he said, and I just wanted to crawl under my helmet and hide. From Africa, Salvatore Maiello's unit moved to Italy in October of 1943, landing just north of Naples. The soldiers there were assigned to the French Expeditionary Corps, who they would support throughout the end of the war. Despite his heritage, Salvatore Maiello said Italy was less than welcoming. It was the worst time of my life. I cannot describe how bad the weather was and how miserable life was. But Maiello survived and joined his fellow soldiers on their push north to where France, Germany, and Switzerland met. There in the town of Belfort, Maiello found something very unexpected. He survived the war. This concludes our broadcast of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts have been Clark and
Nancy.
At 2 p.m., please listen to the Southern Pines Pilot. And at 4 p.m., you can hear Off the Bookshelf. Additionally, you will hear a rebroadcast of today's Fayetteville Observer tonight at 9 p.m. We will now join the Raleigh Network for additional news of interest. We thank you for tuning us in. We would like to say that we have enjoyed being with you this morning. We wish that you have a wonderful day. This is Clark and
Nancy.
we say goodbye on this Thursday.